Welcome to another edition of the For Real News. And today I'm going to have to give a little credit to the For Real News. They do a little better reporting than the national media, which isn't hard, about international news in terms of Syria and how there's a lot of ginned up aggression against Russia and trying to get us into a war there. So I'll be clear. I'm not saying that everything that they put out is complete trash. However, as you'll see in the next clip, they scrape pretty far down to find stories that really matter. As you know, the Real News is located in Baltimore, Maryland, and they claim to be a nonprofit news organization, which, I'll take them for their word. Sounds like it would be pretty hard to do. So it would be pretty admirable if it's true. So what are they actually reporting now about local Baltimore news? This video is titled "Baltimore Man Starts Hunger Strike to End Violence and the City's Addiction to Policing."
This is Stephen Janis reporting for the Real News Network in Baltimore City, Maryland. It is another year of record homicides in Baltimore, and what that usually means is...
This is not really going to be a very good tourist video for Baltimore, by the way.
City Hall is more cops, more police, and more jails. But one man has started to change that dialogue and stop the killing, and what he's using is a fast. There are few traces of the typical media presence that accompanies press conferences about violence in this vacant lot in East Baltimore Monday. Perhaps that's because the topic on the agenda has little to do with cops, jails, and the usual litany of law enforcement additives, or maybe because it wasn't held at City Hall or police headquarters, or even in Annapolis, where Mayor Catherine P. was meeting with Governor Larry Hogan to address the recent surge in murders. Instead, a plea for peace came from a single man sitting under a tent in Baltimore's Rose Street neighborhood in the form of a hunger strike. His name is Kevin McCammon. He is a Buddhist and former prison psychologist who has been working with the community to stop violence through mediation for years.
The number of homicides
So he's been trying for years. Looks like a very, very down-to-earth person, at least. Like, he's dressed like a very normal guy, but you've been working on this for years, and they just keep shooting each other. Don't you think maybe that the Buddhism approach might be falling on deaf ears?
Calculation this morning, a person has been killed every 25 hours and 20 minutes since January 1st of this year, and that's just horrendous.
The record pace of killings this year has taken its toll on him, but 2 weeks ago, one murder brought him to the precipice of making a momentous decision.
I'd mentioned that, I had two people that I know, one who was killed, one who was severely wounded, but the thing that really sort of pushed me was when Charmaine Wilson was killed in front of her kids. That kind of horror takes things to a whole new level.
Which is why on this day, he's making a pledge to not eat until the violence subsides.
What I'm looking to do is to move.
So, middle-aged white man is going to go on hunger strike so that a bunch of gang members will stop shooting each other. This is really going to go very well.
Move the needle on these homicides. So we've had, like I said, by my calculations this morning, a homicide every 25 hours and 20 minutes, and I want to push that back to a homicide every 48 hours. If somebody does decide that they're not going to take a life, I would...
So this guy's already taking a pretty heavy gamble. If there is not a person who gets killed in the next 2 days, I guess from the filming of that video, then his hunger strike's over. So he has to wait 48 hours. If nobody gets shot in the head in the next 48 hours, then he can call off his hunger strike. However, if within that 48 hours, let's say it's 47 and a half hours after the filming of this video, he still has to go for another 48 hours. That's his goal. Think about how outrageous this goal is. And I'm not trying to say that this guy is it's relatively normal and virtuous compared to some of these other weirdos that are poking out elsewhere, that are, the what's it called? Those people that are disableists who maim themselves in order to identify with disabled people. But honestly, who thinks that they can, go on a hunger strike to stop the killing of an entire city by a bunch of random gangs? I mean, it just defies logic.
Like them to come down here and tell me, and so that I can personally thank them. And I just am trying to reach out and touch the hearts of those people to get them to call a halt, even if it's a temporary halt, and then engage in some summit negotiations with one another to figure out a different way. There are alternatives, there are options, there are different ways that these beefs or retaliations, whatever the issue is, can be resolved without taking somebody's life.
It's a fast to engender peace that is not solely aimed at the mayhem on the streets, but also changing the dialogue that is often predicated on the premise that aggressive police tactics can solve the problem.
I'm going on this fast because it's the only thing I can think of to do, to say the lives of the people who are getting killed, right? The lives of the shooters, are worth it to me to put my life on the line, to get some reconsideration of this way of dealing with things.
It's a philosophy he has put into practice. The Rose Street community has been implementing.
So if you missed it, they did slip in this line where they were claiming that he was doing this protest to talk about how police are abusing the neighborhoods and that the neighborhoods are over-policed. So they say that he does that, but he never actually says it on camera. So did they put words in his mouth? I think that if this is really what his hunger strike is about, maybe they should release any video about it. And for that matter, if there's so many homicides in Baltimore right now, and they're claiming that the issue is policing, that there is not, there hasn't been, most of these homicides have nothing to do with police. They're all gang related or, domestic violence related. But we haven't seen another Freddie Gray incident occurring where the police have shot a suspect. In fact, the Freddie Gray case fell apart because of the prosecutorial malfeasance of the of the Baltimore city prosecutor. So what are we actually talking about here? They don't have any goal to this. They're actually piggybacking on some poor guy's desperate gesture, and I honestly have no clue what the hell they're trying to pull here, where they're claiming that he has this anti-police, well, it's not anti-police, but police critical message to give.
A cure violence model for years, a strategy using mediation to prevent conflicts that often lead to shootings. It's an idea that has worked, says Danny Webster from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Health, and should be expanded.
Our most recent analysis that looks at data through 2016, when we average the effects over all those different sites, our estimate is about a 27% reduction in shootings compared to similar areas that did not have the program. So that's very encouraging.
Which is why Kevin has vowed to go without eating until something changes. A decision that has unknown consequences for him. But a stand he says he must.
So this whole mediation issue, I think, is interesting. I'll do a little more research on it, but that does not reflect on whether there is or is not policing in place. And in many of these neighborhoods, the police have simply retreated and they've said, fuck it. We're not going to get fired and have our careers ruined as individuals in order to, enforce the law that people don't care about. So, they're basically trying to forward this agenda of community policing without any real evidence to back it up. Let me make it clear. Community policing may be a solution to some things like improving trust between the civilians and the police officers, but how are you going to have community policing investigating serial killers? There were 4 serial killers in my town over the last 5 years that were just killing women all left and right. I mean, community policing does not include forensics. Community policing does not include many of these, high-tech techniques that are needed in order to solve like real crimes. And I'm not a police advocate. I'm not a Blue Lives Matter guy by any means. I think that, you should distrust the police just as much as you distrust the criminals. But this is kind of a joke article here. Let's watch the end of the video.
Must make to address the pain of a community too often overlooked. How far are you willing to take this? I mean, how far are you willing to go?
I guess I'm willing to go as far as it takes. I mean, I'm trying not to think about that too much. But, I mean, this is not. I'm not playing around here. I'm not playing around here.
This is Stephen Janis and Taya Graham reporting for the Real News Network in Baltimore.
So, I don't think that. I guess this segment that I do, the For Real News, is brought to make fun of this network and, a lot of other ones like it. I'm not just going to limit it to the Real News, but you do have to remember that we're talking about a city that is in complete and utter decay now. It's beyond decay. It's basically decomposed, the city of Baltimore. And what they're trying to do is use these banal gestures in order to, coax these hardcore killers into ceasing their activity. I don't think that really works. I mean, I've heard of things happening in countries like Liberia where there have been these protests. There was a women's protest where they refused to have sex with their husbands unless they'd stop killing each other. I don't think that that's going to work here because you have some real hardcore gangs that they don't have anybody enforcing any laws over there. It's basically a free-for-all in that city. That's a city where The Wire was taking place, Baltimore. So, they base it on real life experiences in one of the worst urban ghettos in the country. And these guys are talking about a single person doing a hunger strike in order to push the murder rate to only 1 per 48 hours. I can't really express much confidence in this. And that's why I think that this network is kind of composed of people with a soft spot for symbolism. And that makes them no different from the rest of the progressive left. There are people on the progressive left that use real hard I want to say proposals to take care of things. This isn't one of them. There's people that they talk about drastic economic measures and things like that, which I'm completely opposed to, but at least it's a real proposal. This doesn't propose anything. So anyway, until next time, this is Ramon with the For Real News, and we'll be watching for some more of these beauties coming out in the next few days. I have full confidence in this network that they're going to put out something just ripe for the picking and the parodying.